In the last video, I talked about three really common subplot types that writers will, be able to recognize pretty quickly. The romance or intimacy subplot, the rivalry subplot, and the mentor subplot. And those types of subplots are great for character development, but I wanted to hit you with three additional types of subplots today that are really the subplots you want to use to make your book seem far deeper and more layered. These are the subplots that are going to give your book meaning. So what are these subplots? They are the thematic subplot, the external stakes subplot, and the comedic subplot. If you're new here, I'm Holly Schindler, an award-winning author as well as freelance editor, writing coach, and writing instructor. All right, first up is the thematic subplot. Now, if you've been watching my videos here for a while, I'm sure you're kind of scratching your head at that one and saying, why do I need a thematic subplot? You told me that theme was something that was made evident by the main character's arc, that the main character started the book believing a lie, that the adventure of the book was the main character having to confront the lie, and at the end of the book, when the main character abandons the lie, the truth they come to accept is the theme. So why do I need a thematic subplot at all? Okay, all of that is still true, don't worry. But the thematic subplot will add a new layer of meaning because what you're going to do is you're going to explore your theme through a different angle. It's kind of like a philosophical counterpoint. Let's say you've got a book about revenge. Your main character might believe something like justice happens when somebody else pays. Now you might have another character in this book close to your protagonist who believes violence only leads to more violence. What you get then are two different characters living out two different angles of the same story. This allows you to drive your message home without seeming preachy. Now, I did do a separate video previously on side characters. I'm going to link to it here. You're going to want to check it out because your side characters are going to be instrumental in helping you construct this thematic subplot. Now, the reason this thematic subplot is so important is that you're going to be able to explore the same story question in multiple storylines from different angles with characters making different decisions. This story question is going to be on every single page of this book. And that repetition is often what gives a book its meaning. Subplot type number 2, external stakes. And the reason this one is such a great subplot is that it allows you to kind of zoom out from your main character and see how this issue is going to affect other people around the protagonist. We see this a lot in disaster movies, right? You might pan away from the main character in order to show maybe some government officials running around panicking, scientists scrambling to come to an answer, and maybe ordinary citizens running about just in danger. Now, those scenes are not random. They are expanding the scope of the problem. Now, the key to the external stakes subplot is making sure it is in fact connected to the main character. The reader needs to understand, if this main character fails, this is the consequence. Obviously, this external subplot is so great for increasing the tension in your book. Essentially, though, the external stakes subplot is going to answer this question. Why does this story even matter beyond the protagonist? Subplot type number 3, the comedic subplot. Now, first and foremost, this comedic subplot is going to act sort of like a pressure valve, going to release the pressure in between moments of insane tension. Now, one of my favorite examples of this is Butch and Sundance, right? They have so many great comedic moments in between moments of great tension. And I think those of us that love this movie remember those comedic moments the most. The running gag of the next time I say, let's go someplace like Bolivia, let's go someplace like Bolivia. The admission by Robert Redford that he can't swim. All those moments. Those are the moments that stick with us, the comedic moments. They release the pressure in between the higher stakes moments. And you know what? Those comedic moments also endear those characters to us. Those comedic moments are why we fall in love with those characters. Another thing comedy does is tell the truth in disguise. A funny character is always going to be the one who says the thing out loud no one else is willing to say, or will actually expose the absurdity of a situation, or, highlight a protagonist's flaws. Comedy can also show the gap between what characters believe and what is actually happening. So when comedy is working, and if you have ever had an agent or an editor say, we need to lighten this up, can you make this funnier? What they're saying is maybe you need to find a way to release constant pressure in your manuscript. You might need to be developing character personality. You can absolutely do that with comedy. You might need to better develop your own voice, or you might need a subtle way to reinforce the theme of your story. All of that can be accomplished with a comedic subplot. As a side note, I feel like really nobody talks much about comedic writing. I mean, you can practically walk down the street and trip over advice on how to write a romance or a children's book. But comedic writing is sort of a different animal. Now, over on my Patreon, I am rescuing a drawer manuscript in real time. It is a rom-com, but what I'm focusing on at my Patreon is comedic writing. So if you want to know more about how to better incorporate a comedic subplot, how to build comedy into characters without making them feel like stereotypes, if you want to know more about incorporating comedy into dialogue or developing your comedic voice, I'm exploring all of this over at my Patreon, The Story Lab. So here's the big idea to take away from all of these subplot videos. It's that, subplot is not simply filler. It is not decoration. A subplot is a tool. Here we saw that, a subplot is a tool for regulating and releasing pressure, for creating meaning, and also for shaping how the reader is going to experience your story. I'll see you next time. In the meantime, go write something.